Picture this. A woman awakens to the first light of dawn, only to find herself in an eerily quiet house. The soft glow of morning paints the world in hues of gold and pink, but the beauty of the dawn offers no comfort to her. She's alone, enveloped in a silence so profound it's almost tangible. The familiar walls of her home, once teeming with life and laughter, now seem alien, their shadows stretching into ominous shapes. The cozy living room, the warm kitchen, all now appear like grim sets of a horror play, each corner whispering tales of dread. She calls out, her voice slicing through the stillness. "John! Lily!" Her words bounce around the empty rooms, returning to her in echoes, amplifying her solitude. Her heart pounds in her chest, a frantic drummer echoing her rising panic. She moves from room to room, her footsteps the only sound, their hollow echoes a chilling reminder of her solitude. The rooms are untouched, everything in its place, as if her family just vanished into thin air. The beds are made, the breakfast table is set, their lives frozen in time, a cruel mockery of normalcy. Her mind races, heart pounding like a wild beast in her chest, a torrent of questions crashing against the walls of her sanity. Where are they? What happened? Why is she alone? The silence of the house offers no answers, only amplifying her fears. She stumbles into the hallway, her breath coming in ragged gasps, her hands shaking as the cold dread sinks its claws into her. And then she sees it. The front door, once a welcoming gateway to the world, is now an impenetrable barrier. Wooden planks nailed over it from the inside, a grim testament to her isolation. She runs her fingers over the rough wood, her mind refusing to comprehend the horrifying truth. She turns to the windows and her heart sinks further. They too are boarded up, the world outside obscured by an unyielding wooden veil. The house, her sanctuary, has turned into her prison. As the reality of her solitude settles in, she stumbles upon her first terrifying discovery. Her doors and windows are boarded up from the inside. Our protagonist now faces a horrifying truth. She is trapped inside her own home. Imagine, if you will, waking up one day to find your sanctuary, your place of comfort, transformed into an inescapable cage. She finds herself in this very nightmare. Her home, which once echoed with the laughter of her family, now seems to echo only with the deafening silence of isolation. In panic, she throws herself against the boarded-up doors and windows. Her hands, once used to tenderly tuck her children into bed, now claw desperately at the wooden barricades. But they might as well be made of steel, for all the good her efforts do. The boards remain unmoved, unyielding, as if mocking her futile attempts at escape. Her heart pounds in her chest, a wild rhythm of fear and confusion. She races through the house, her feet pounding on the familiar, now hostile floors. The rooms, once filled with life and love, now seem like cells in a prison. Her prison. A prison not of bars and locks, but of memories and echoes of a life that seems to have vanished without a trace. She searches for tools, for anything that might help her in her plight. But it's as if every useful item has been spirited away, leaving her helpless, defenseless. The kitchen, once a hub of activity, is now bare. The garage, once cluttered with an array of tools, is now eerily empty. It's as if the very house is conspiring against her, aiding her unseen captors. Her despair grows with every passing moment. She can't escape. She can't call for help. She is alone, alone in her own home, a prisoner in her own life. And then, as if to add a chilling punctuation to her predicament, she stumbles upon a note. It's a simple piece of paper, but the words etched on it send a shiver down her spine. Do not attempt to leave. They are watching. It's a warning, a threat, a promise of unseen eyes always upon her, and it's the final confirmation of the horrifying reality she now inhabits. In her despair, she stumbles upon a note that reads, "Do not attempt to leave. They are watching." Haunted by the cryptic note, she now fears the presence of unseen watchers. As the stillness of the house settles around her, a creeping feeling of unease starts to crawl up her spine. She can't shake off the sensation of being watched, of unseen eyes tracing her every move. Yet she sees no one, hears no one. Her heart pounding like a drum, she starts to search the house. She checks every corner, every shadow, every possible hiding place. She looks for hidden cameras, peepholes, any sign of intrusion. But she finds nothing. Nothing but her own reflection looking back at her, wide-eyed and terrified. The silence of the house is broken only by her own ragged breathing and the eerie creaking of the old wooden boards under her feet. Her paranoia grows with each passing moment. The fear of the unseen, the unknown, is a terror far more potent than any physical monster. It gnaws at her, whispers in her ear, keeps her on edge. The house, once a sanctuary, now feels like a trap with invisible jailers. She wonders if she's losing her mind. She questions her sanity, her reality, but the persistent feeling of unseen watchers never leaves her. It's like a shadow, a ghost, an invisible threat that's always there, just out of her sight, lurking in the corners of her mind. The day turns into night, the darkness outside seeping into the house, into her thoughts. The fear, the anticipation, the unknown, it's all too much. She's exhausted, physically, emotionally, yet sleep is a luxury she can't afford. She's too afraid of what might happen if she closes her eyes. But the human body has its limits, and finally, she succumbs to the crushing weight of her fatigue. She falls asleep, exhausted and fearful, only to wake up to a new horror. Her house is changing. And with this change, the unseen watchers feel closer, more tangible, their invisible eyes burning holes into her soul. Awakening from a restless sleep, she finds her house has transformed into a labyrinth. The comforting familiarity of her home now feels like a distant memory, replaced by the disconcerting reality of an ever-changing maze. Rooms and hallways have twisted and contorted into a web of confusion, their once cozy corners now darkened alcoves of uncertainty. Her house, her sanctuary, has become a shifting puzzle, a cryptic enigma designed with one purpose: to disorientate and bewilder her. The kitchen, where she'd prepared countless family meals, has morphed into a spiraling corridor. The living room, a place of laughter and love, now a dead end of despair. Every step she takes is a step into the unknown, a step further away from the home she once knew. Attempt after attempt, she tries to navigate this bewildering maze, her heart pounding in her chest, her breath quickening with each turn. But the house seems to have a mind of its own, shifting and changing with her every step. A left turn that once led to her children's bedroom now leads to an empty space. A right turn that used to guide her to the front door now leads her deeper into the labyrinth. She feels the walls closing in on her, the darkness of the maze swallowing her whole. The once familiar sounds of her home now echo ominously through the twisted corridors. The clock's tick-tock is replaced by an eerie silence, broken only by the sound of her own frantic heartbeat. On the brink of madness, feeling the weight of despair pulling her down, she stumbles upon a hidden door in the floor. A glimmer of hope in the heart of her shifting nightmare. The maze may twist and turn, but she's not defeated yet. She has a new path to explore, a new mystery to unravel. Just when she's on the brink of madness, she discovers a hidden door in the floor. With a deep breath, she opens the door and descends into the darkness. Her heart pounds like a drum in her chest as the chilling air wraps around her, an unseen shroud of cold dread. The descent is steep, the air becoming more stagnant and oppressive with each step she takes. The darkness is all-consuming, a void that swallows up all light and hope. She steps into a room, the air heavy with an eerie stillness. A flicker of light dances across the room, casting long, monstrous shadows on the walls. The light originates from a multitude of screens, each one a window into another part of her house. The kitchen where she'd made breakfast for her family, the living room where they'd shared laughter, the bedrooms that held whispered secrets and dreams. Every room, every corner, every inch of her home is displayed on these screens, a grotesque tableau of her life. A sickening realization washes over her like a wave, her stomach churning with revulsion. She wasn't just trapped, she was part of a perverse spectacle. Her fear, her desperation, her struggle, all had been broadcasted for the amusement of unseen watchers. Her private sanctuary had been turned into a stage, her life a twisted reality show. The screens flicker with images of her, alone and terrified. Her every moment of despair, every tear shed, every scream of frustration, all captured and displayed for the enjoyment of others. She feels a surge of anger, a fiery indignation that blazes through her fear. In a final act of defiance, she turns off the screens, shrouding her world in darkness and leaving the unseen watchers in silence. Their show abruptly ended. Her world may still be a cage, but she refuses to be a spectacle. She may not have her freedom, but she will have her dignity. She will not be their show. She will not be their entertainment. She is more than just a trapped woman. She is a fighter, a survivor, a beacon of defiance in the oppressive darkness. Y'all, we're wrapping up here, but don't you go anywhere just yet. Show some love, hit that like button. Fancy more content like this? Go on, subscribe and let that bell icon ring so you won't miss a beat. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, sharing is caring. Until next time, stay tuned.